Welcome, the anointed ones. They never fear the quiet storm until the lightning hits their front door. You see, people love to test the patience of a chosen one because they've mistaken your silence for softness, your peace for passivity, and your kindness for permission. But here's a fact. According to psychology studies on suppressed rage, the most dangerous people in a room are the ones who don't react immediately. Why? Because when they finally do, it's precise, merciless, and unforgettable. And let's be real, half these people out here wouldn't last 5 minutes in the psychological battlefield you've survived. They're out here crying crocodile tears like they just auditioned for a daytime soap opera, when in reality, they started a war they were never built to finish. Today, we're going to talk about a truth most people don't like admitting. The wrath of a chosen one isn't petty, it's not childish, and it damn sure isn't overdramatic. It's spiritual correction wrapped in human emotion. It's karma showing up in a hoodie with your face on it. By the end of this video, you'll realize why when a chosen one finally gets fed up. It's not just personal, it's cosmic. And if you've ever had someone cry crocodile tears after playing with your peace, sit tight, because you're about to understand exactly why your wrath hits different. Let's get into it. Number 1. The chosen one's wrath isn't petty, it's ancestral. The wrath of a chosen one isn't some random emotional outburst. It's not you getting mad over petty things or being dramatic for attention. It's something much deeper. It's ancestral. It's centuries of unspoken pain, betrayal, injustice, and silent battles passed down through bloodlines finally surfacing in you. Most people don't realize this, but when a chosen one gets pushed too far, it's not just about what happened in that moment. It's about everything that's been tolerated, suppressed, and endured, not just in your life, but in the lives of those who came before you. The truth is, many of the people you encounter aren't carrying that kind of weight. They deal with their own issues, sure, but they don't hold the spiritual responsibility of breaking generational curses, healing ancestral wounds, and correcting the energy of their bloodline. You do. So when you finally reach your breaking point, it carries a force nobody's ready for. It isn't just your anger, it's your great-grandmother's unspoken grief, your ancestors' unheard prayers, the trauma your lineage had to swallow and keep moving through. It all erupts through you like a tidal wave people never saw coming. And that's why it shakes people on a level they can't explain. It hits their spirit, not just their ego. They feel it in ways they can't describe because it's not a regular argument, a petty fallout, or a typical disagreement. It's something spiritual, something ancient. It rattles them because it carries the truth of what they've done. Not just to you, but to the world, to others like you, to those they thought would stay silent forever. Your wrath reminds them that the day of reckoning they swore would never arrive is standing right in front of them. That's why the tears come. Not because you hurt them, but because your wrath exposed them. It showed them they were never as untouchable as they believed, and now they've got to sit with it. Number 2. The wrath of the chosen is surgical, not chaotic. The wrath of a chosen one isn't wild or messy. It's not about yelling, flipping tables, or causing a scene for the sake of attention. It's surgical. It's precise. It's the kind of retaliation that doesn't waste time on small talk or empty threats. People confuse your patience for weakness because you don't react the way they expect. You don't explode over every little insult or betrayal. You observe, you analyze, and you remember. You give people the rope they insist on wrapping around their own necks. And when it's time to move, you strike exactly where it matters most. That's what makes it so unsettling. Your wrath isn't random. It's not fueled by petty jealousy, insecurity, or the need to prove a point. It comes from a place of clarity. You know what you're doing, why you're doing it, and exactly what effect it'll have. You don't waste energy on people who don't matter. You don't address every rumor or respond to every insult. But when someone crosses that final line, you respond in a way that leaves no room for doubt. No one has to guess if you're serious because the energy shifts the moment you decide you've had enough. It's not about screaming. It's about silence followed by action that can't be undone. People who thought they had power over you quickly realized they were playing checkers, while you were mapping out a chessboard they didn't even know existed. That's why your wrath stays on people's minds long after the situation is over. It's not the volume of your anger, it's the precision of your response. You don't aim for their ego, you go for their illusions, their carefully constructed lies, the fake images they present to the world. And when you expose that, it's devastating. Because while they expected chaos, you gave them consequences. And those hit way harder than any shouting match ever could. Number 3. They fear your energy because it holds their reflection. The reason people fear your wrath isn't because you're loud, violent, or unpredictable. It's because when you finally speak up, you turn into a mirror they can't avoid. You hold up a reflection of exactly who they are underneath all their fake confidence, forced kindness, and carefully built masks. And most people can't handle that kind of honesty. It's one thing for someone to insult you out of anger, but it's another for someone like you to calmly, unapologetically lay out the truth about them in a way that leaves no room for denial. That's the thing about chosen ones. Your energy naturally picks up what people try to hide. You can sense when someone's insecure, manipulative, jealous, or full of unresolved guilt, even when they pretend otherwise. You might stay quiet about it for a while because you try to give people grace. But the moment they push you too far, you stop playing along. And when you finally speak, you don't just address what they did. You reveal who they truly are, and that's what terrifies them. People cry those crocodile tears because you rip away their ability to keep pretending. You expose the parts of themselves they hoped no one would ever notice. You force them to confront their own reflection, and it's a reflection they've spent years avoiding. That's why your wrath hits differently. It doesn't come from a petty place. It comes from a place of brutal truth, and there's no escape from it. You're not just telling them off. You're handing them a mirror with every flaw, every lie, and every fear laid out in full view. And in that moment, they realize they can't spin it, they can't control the narrative, and they can't turn it back on you. That's when the fake tears start falling. Not out of guilt, but out of fear. Because now they have to deal with a version of themselves they didn't want the world, or even themselves, to see. And it was you who made them look. Number 4. Your wrath reveals the weakness they swore didn't exist. When people deal with a chosen one, they love to act like they don't need you. They'll downplay your presence, ignore your worth, and pretend like your energy isn't carrying the room. They'll make snide comments, play little mind games, and act like you're replaceable, all while secretly feeding off your light. The thing is, some people don't realize just how much they were leaning on your spirit until you decide to back away. And that's when everything starts crumbling. Your wrath isn't always loud. Sometimes it's in the way you go silent, in the way you don't show up anymore, in the way you stop answering calls, stop giving advice, stop pouring into people who only came to drain you. That absence? It shakes people more than any argument ever could. They're left to deal with themselves, without the security of your strength to hide behind. And suddenly, all that independence they bragged about turns out to be an illusion they created, just to cope with how much they actually needed you. The moment you step back, you expose their dependency. You reveal that the confidence they flaunted was propped up by your constant support, your patience, and your presence. And when you retaliate or pull away, it forces them to sit in the very emptiness they pretended didn't exist. That's why the act falls apart so fast. That's why those crocodile tears show up, not because they miss you, but because they miss what you made them feel about themselves. They start to realize how fragile their little world was without you in it. Every fake persona they created, every false sense of control they held onto, all of it collapses the second you stop playing along. And what's left is the weakness they swore didn't exist, the part of them they refused to face. You didn't break them, you just stopped carrying them. And it was enough to bring their whole show to a crashing halt. Number 5. They called you difficult because you refused to betray yourself. People love to slap labels on the ones they can't control. Difficult, problematic, too much. But what they're really saying is, you won't let me get away with my usual nonsense. Most people move through life avoiding conflict, even if it means betraying their own spirit in the process. They'll stay quiet when someone crosses a line. They'll downplay manipulation, laugh off disrespect, and swallow betrayal just to keep the peace. Not because they don't feel it, but because they've been taught that speaking up means losing people. And to them, being liked is worth more than being whole. But you don't play that game. You're not afraid of conflict when it means standing up for yourself. You don't tolerate subtle jabs disguised as jokes. You don't let manipulation slide just because it's coming from someone close. You confront things head on, not because you enjoy drama, but because you value your peace too much to let it be contaminated by fake energy. And when you refuse to shrink yourself to make others comfortable, people panic. They call it wrath, because they're not used to anyone setting boundaries without apologizing for it. They label it attitude because you don't accept double standards. They say you're difficult because you won't participate in the unspoken agreement most people have to just tolerate toxicity for the sake of appearances. You refuse to betray yourself to maintain relationships that are one-sided, fake, or built on silent suffering. What terrifies them is that you have the courage to choose yourself. You're not chasing validation, you don't need their approval, and you're perfectly fine burning a bridge if it means protecting your peace. That kind of freedom threatens people who rely on control, manipulation, and social masks to get by. So they try to make you the problem. But deep down, they know what it really is. You're just not one of the ones they can tame. Number 6. The chosen one's wrath is sacred, not vindictive. When a chosen one finally reaches that breaking point, people love to act like it's some personal, petty, ego-driven reaction. But what they don't realize is, it's sacred. Your wrath isn't about getting even. It isn't about proving you're right or flexing power for the sake of pride. It's divine correction coming through you, wrapped in human emotion. You're not moving from bitterness, you're moving from alignment. There's a difference between revenge and restoration, and you move on sacred timing. Most people walk around unchecked for so long that they start believing they're untouchable. They manipulate, disrespect, and betray with no real consequences, because the people around them are too scared, too passive, or too dependent to hold them accountable. But a chosen one isn't built like that. When you finally retaliate, it's not some spur-of-the-moment temper tantrum. It's the universe's way of letting them know their time abusing false power is up. You become the vessel karma uses to deliver overdue messages. That's why it shakes people so deeply. It's not just about what you said or did. It's about what it represents. It's a signal that the days of unchecked behavior, lies, and illusions are done. It's a shift in energy they can feel in their bones. And no matter how they try to downplay it, deny it, or spin it to others, deep down they know. They know they've crossed one too many lines. They know what's happening isn't random. They just never thought it would come through you. People don't cry because you hurt them. They cry because in that moment they realize the fake power they held over situations, people, and narratives has expired. And there's no getting it back. That's the difference between ordinary anger and a chosen one's wrath. One bruises egos, the other rearranges lives. And it always hits where it's supposed to. Number 7. Your wrath destroys what should have never existed. When a chosen one gets angry, it's not chaos for the sake of chaos. It's not lashing out just to make noise or cause a scene. It's precise. It's intentional. It moves like a force that knows exactly what needs to be cut loose and what needs to be exposed. The wrath you unleash doesn't just destroy things at random. It destroys what should have never been there in the first place. It clears out the people, lies, illusions, and toxic attachments that wormed their way into your life while pretending to belong. The thing is, some people only thrive in your world because you were too kind to question their presence. You gave them the benefit of the doubt. You ignored the red flags, and you made excuses for behavior you should have called out the first time. That's the part people never want to admit. Some of the things that crumble under your wrath had no business standing in your space to begin with. They were built on shaky foundations, fake loyalty, one-sided energy, and silent disrespect. The moment your spirit gets fed up, everything false starts falling apart. Your wrath removes parasites that fed off your light while pretending to support you. It wipes out false narratives people built about you to control how others saw you. It burns down corrupted systems of unspoken rules, fake alliances, and silent agreements to keep you small. And when you finally release that energy, it feels like reality itself resets around you. Things start shifting. People you thought would never leave are suddenly gone. Stories people swore would stick to your name start unraveling. Relationships you thought you needed show their true nature. It's not destruction, it's correction. It's the universe using your wrath to cleanse your environment and force everything that wasn't real to collapse. And even though people will call you reckless, heartless, or cruel, deep down, they know it was overdue. The only reason it feels so violent is because the lies were comfortable, and you had the audacity to disrupt them. Number 8. They mocked your kindness, forgot you had teeth. People get real bold when they think you won't bite back. They see your kindness, your ability to forgive, your natural instinct to give people the benefit of the doubt, and they confuse it for softness. They assume you'll tolerate anything, that you'll keep turning the other cheek, keep patching up situations you didn't break, and keep carrying people who secretly resent you. The problem is they only saw one side of you. They mistook your silence for surrender, and your patience for permission. What they didn't realize is that wolves don't snarl at every passing threat. Real power moves in silence. It watches, it waits, it chooses its moment. And when you finally bare your teeth, it's not out of impulse. It's because you've decided this is the moment someone needs to learn what happens when you push too far. That's when the same mouths that mocked your empathy start to tremble. The same people who laughed at your kindness suddenly get real quiet because now they're face to face with the side of you they never believed existed. The truth is, your wrath is so effective because it's so rare. You give people every chance to fix it, to be honest, to treat you right. You overlook what others would immediately react to. And that's what makes it so devastating when you finally snap. It's not just anger. It's accumulated restraint finally breaking through. It's every swallowed insult, every overlooked betrayal, every silent sacrifice coming to the surface all at once. They start panicking, not because they didn't see it coming, but because deep down they knew you were the one person they couldn't afford to lose. And now, not only have they lost your kindness, they've earned your teeth. It's a brutal wake-up call when people realize the one they thought was soft was the one they should have never crossed. Number 9. Your wrath activates their subconscious guilt. Your wrath isn't just a reaction to an insult or betrayal. It's a mirror. It's not just the words you say or the actions you take. It's what those things represent. When you get angry, it's not just about what someone did to you. It's about everything they've done to others, everything they've gotten away with, and everything they've convinced themselves they could hide. Your anger has the power to bring to the surface the guilt they've buried deep, the wrongs they've justified in their own minds, and the betrayals they've minimized or ignored. It's like a spiritual alarm going off, and suddenly, they're forced to confront what they've done. The truth is, they've been skating by, living in a bubble where their actions haven't had real consequences. They've convinced themselves that the lies were harmless, the manipulation was justified, and the wounds they left behind were just collateral damage. But when you unleash your wrath, it's not just you calling them out. It's the universe showing up in your form. It's a reminder that no one escapes the ripple effects of their actions forever. Your anger makes them face the things they thought they could bury, and that's why it's so unbearable. It's not just about what they did to you. It's what your wrath symbolizes. You're not just a person they wronged. You represent the things they've done to others, the promises they broke, the trust they shattered. And when you finally react, they feel like the consequences they swore would never come are right there in front of them. They thought they could dodge it, outsmart it, or silence it with manipulation. But you're not just reacting. You're the embodiment of everything they've been running from. That's why it cuts so deep. It's not just your anger they're dealing with. It's the weight of their own guilt, finally rising to the surface, and they can't escape it. They're no longer in control of the narrative. You've become the living proof that the universe never forgets, and that truth is what shakes them to their core. Number 10. They cry because you were the only one keeping their demons at bay. People often underestimate the power of your presence. They think it's just about your kindness, your energy, or the way you show up. But what they don't realize is that your very being has been a shield, a silent force keeping the darkness at bay. Every time you've walked into a room, your energy has shifted the atmosphere, cleared the toxicity, and kept their inner demons in check, whether they recognized it or not. They didn't know it, but you were the buffer. You were the one holding back their worst tendencies, their insecurities, their guilt, and the parts of themselves they couldn't bear to face. In their twisted way, they knew it. They might not have consciously admitted it, but somewhere deep down, they were aware. They tested you, pushed you, and tried to tear you down, all the while benefiting from the quiet protection you provided. They never had to confront the full scope of their darkness because you were there, either unconsciously or consciously, acting as a filter. When you were around, their demons stayed in the background, at least in check. But the moment you walk away or retaliate, everything shifts. The protection you provided is gone, and the darkness they've been ignoring starts rushing in. That's when the crocodile tears begin, not because they feel remorse or guilt, but because they suddenly realize they've been exposed. They realize that, in trying to destroy you, they dismantled the very shield they took for granted. The demons they thought they had under control come flooding back, and now they have to face the chaos they didn't know how to manage. The protection you provided wasn't just emotional, it was spiritual. And now that it's gone, they see the consequences of their actions. They cry, not out of guilt but out of fear. Fear of what they've lost and fear of what they've unleashed. They've spent so long mistaking your patience and kindness for weakness that they didn't realize the true power they were toying with, the power of your protection. Now they're left to deal with the very demons they should have faced, but never had to until now. Number 11. Your wrath doesn't seek closure, it becomes the closure. When you decide you're done, there's no room for debate, no negotiations, no waiting for an apology or an explanation. It's not about closure for you, it's about the finality of your decision. The moment you withdraw, retaliate, or unleash your wrath, it's not an invitation for a conversation. It's a verdict. The judgment is made, and that's it. There's no lingering, no dragging things out, no giving second chances. You've reached your limit, and you're not wasting another ounce of energy trying to fix what's already been broken. What really shakes people is the way you close the door behind you. They're not used to it. They're not used to someone walking away and leaving no cracks in the door for them to pry open. Most people are accustomed to drawing things out, even when they know they've messed up. They're used to manipulating the narrative, offering excuses, and sometimes they even expect you to let them back in eventually. But when you reach the end of your rope, you don't leave room for them to maneuver. The door slams shut, and they can't reopen it, no matter how much they try. It's not your wrath itself that gets to them. It's the way you make them realize they're no longer in control. When you decide you're done, it's like the universe itself has closed the chapter, and they can't reopen it, no matter how much they beg or cry. It's final, and that finality is what leaves them reeling. They don't get to dictate the terms of the relationship, the fallout, or the resolution. You've already made the call, and there's no going back. That's the real power of your wrath. It's not about punishing them. It's about showing them they can't manipulate the outcome. They don't get to have the last word. They don't get to make you linger in an unresolved space. And for someone who's used to controlling the narrative or twisting things in their favor, that finality is utterly devastating. Number 12. Your energy withdrawal is more lethal than your words. What truly breaks people isn't what you say in anger. It's what you don't say and what you no longer offer. Your presence, your energy, your love, and your wisdom were like oxygen to them, whether they acknowledged it or not. You were a constant source of support, a lifeline that allowed them to exist in their comfort zones, to thrive on their terms without ever truly having to face their own shortcomings. They took it all for granted, assuming you'd always be there to give, to guide, to heal. But the moment you withdraw that energy, everything changes. It's not a quick hit. It's a slow, suffocating realization that they're no longer being nourished by the very thing that kept them afloat. The true devastation is in the silence. When you stop showing up, when you stop offering your time, your energy, your understanding, they feel it. And it's like spiritual suffocation. They can't breathe without your light. They can't function without your wisdom. They can't even navigate the world around them the same way because you were their anchor. And that withdrawal? It's lethal. It's the coldest thing you can do to someone who's relied on your energy to fuel their own existence. It's not an argument or a blowout. It's the slow death of everything they once had access to. The tears they cry aren't about what you did to them. They're about the void you've left behind. They're mourning the loss of the very thing they never knew how to appreciate until it was gone. The reality hits. Without you, they're exposed to the consequences of their own actions. They're left without the emotional crutches, the healing balm, and the support they once took for granted. And that's when the true grief sets in. Not because of what you did, but because they've lost access to you. The one person who was a constant source of strength, love, and clarity in their life. The loss of that connection is the real pain, and it's a wound they'll carry long after the silence falls. Number 13. The chosen one's wrath exposes the illusion of control. People spend so much time trying to manipulate, control, or play games with those they think they can dominate. They use gossip to tarnish your name. They use silence to make you doubt yourself, and they use manipulation to bend your will. They think they've found the key to controlling you, that if they just keep pushing the right buttons, you'll stay in line, stay small, stay silent. What they don't realize is that their sense of control over you is nothing more than an illusion. And when you finally unleash your wrath, it shatters that illusion completely. You don't need to play their games. You don't need to argue, manipulate, or beg for validation. Your power exists in a realm they can't even access. And when you retaliate, it's like the veil they've been hiding behind is torn down. The reality hits them like a ton of bricks. They never had control over you in the first place. It wasn't your silence they were managing. It was your grace. It wasn't your actions they were dictating. It was their own fear of your true power. Your wrath forces them to face the truth. They were never holding the strings. They were never in the driver's seat. They were merely puppets, weaving illusions and hoping you'd play along. But when you stop playing the game, when you stop tolerating their manipulation, it exposes the facade. The control they thought they had evaporates, and they're left with the cold, stark truth. They were trying to control someone who operates on an entirely different frequency, someone far beyond their comprehension. That's why it's so devastating to them. Not because of what you said or did, but because you've reminded them that their power over you was nothing more than a fantasy. They built a cage around you made of lies and deceit, only to discover that you were never meant to be confined. Your wrath wasn't a moment of weakness. It was the confirmation that their control was always an illusion. And in that moment, they realized just how deeply they've misunderstood you. Number 14. Your wrath is a catalyst for their awakening, or their demise. Your wrath is a force of nature, one that doesn't leave room for neutrality. It's not just a reaction, it's a catalyst, a spark that either ignites transformation or burns everything to the ground. For some, it's the wake-up call they've needed, the moment they finally confront their own flaws, the lies they've been living, and the truths they've been avoiding. They'll reflect on their actions, reevaluate their priorities, and evolve into something stronger, more self-aware, and more aligned with reality. Your wrath shakes them to their core, but it doesn't break them. Instead, it forces them to rise, to adapt, and to become the person they were meant to be. For them, it's the beginning of a new chapter, one where they finally own up to their mistakes and learn from them. But for others, your wrath is the beginning of their downfall. They can't handle the mirror you hold up to their face. They can't face the truth you've just exposed about them, and instead of growing, they spiral deeper into denial, delusion, and self-pity. They'll play the victim, they'll blame you, and they'll twist the narrative to fit their fragile egos. They'll double down on their toxic behaviors and try to convince themselves that it's everyone else's fault. For them, your wrath becomes the moment they dive even deeper into their own darkness. Too proud, too broken, or too scared to change. Either way, your wrath leaves them forever changed. It forces a reckoning that they cannot escape. Whether they rise or fall is no longer your concern. You've done what you were meant to do. You've been the mirror, the catalyst, the force that brought everything to light. How they choose to handle it is on them. You're no longer responsible for their transformation or their demise. You've shown them the truth, and now it's up to them to decide which path they'll walk. In the end, the wrath of a chosen one isn't just a moment of fury. It's a profound recalibration of the world around them. It's the force that reshapes reality and brings truths to the surface, whether people are ready to face them or not. When you unleash your wrath, it's never about petty revenge or emotional outbursts. It's divine, intentional, and serves a purpose far beyond the immediate chaos. It's about cleansing the space, correcting the path, and showing others, and yourself, what happens when boundaries are crossed and disrespect is allowed to fester. People will react in different ways. Some will be broken by it, unable to confront their own demons, sinking deeper into their lies and self-destructive patterns. Others will rise, transformed, awakened, and empowered by the very force they once feared. But no matter the outcome, your wrath doesn't leave things as they were. It's a seismic shift that leaves behind the pieces of broken illusions, and a chance for something more authentic to emerge. You, the chosen one, don't need to fight for closure. You don't need to beg for apologies. Your energy, your presence, and your wrath speak louder than any words ever could. You are the embodiment of truth, and when that truth emerges, it doesn't ask for permission. The people who've crossed you, manipulated you, or taken advantage of your kindness will either wake up or fall apart. And none of that is your responsibility anymore. You've done your part. Your wrath was never about destruction. It was about creation. The creation of a new reality where you no longer tolerate disrespect, manipulation, or lies. A reality where your energy and presence are no longer taken for granted. So let them cry their crocodile tears. Let them try to rebuild their illusions. Because one thing is for certain, after encountering the power of your wrath, they'll never forget that the universe works through you, and you are the reminder that no one gets away with betraying someone of your caliber. If you felt the weight of these words and the truth that's been laid bare, don't let this moment pass you by. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss a powerful message like this again. Like, comment, and share this with anyone who needs to hear it. Because these aren't just words. They're revelations meant to shake up the status quo and ignite transformation. You're not alone in this journey, and together we're building a community of truth seekers, chosen ones, who refuse to be silenced or manipulated. Let your voice be heard, share your thoughts, and spread this wisdom to others who need it. You're here for a reason. Let's make sure the world knows it.